Welcome to our Meet the Parents podcast, the show where we share stories from everyday life to help with the ups and downs of parenting. We'll have honest conversations as together we grow everyday faith in our homes. Be sure to follow us on your favourite podcast provider or check out the video version on YouTube. All show notes and episodes can be found at livingrock.church/Meet the Parents.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa.
And we have 3 children aged between 15 and 20, very nearly 16. We know our experiences of parenting are all different, and we want to hear from other families what they have tried, tested, succeeded, and failed at. Together we can learn how God wants us to grow as families that love Him. And this podcast is a place where we can explore that wonderful variety. So, yeah, we're going to let's get on with it, shall we?
Let's get on with the show. So today we're welcoming Joe and Andy, and we're going to chat together about what it is to be a young parent and how as a church community we can come alongside people in a similar position, and we'd just love to hear your journey and how you've grown in God through it. So, yeah.
So, yes, welcome.
Hello.
It's great having you.
Thanks.
We always start off with a question like this, which is great. And so tell us about your family, how old your children are, and this is always a good one. And I like your answers. I had a little sneak preview. And if you could have one parenting superpower, what could it be and why?
So we have Oliver, who's 15, and Annabelle, who's 10. And my superpower would be to have a fairy godmother to help with chores around the house and all of the boring bits of parenting as well, to just help around.
Very nice.
Yeah, Ollie and Annabelle. My parenting superpower would be, ever the practical person, would be the ability for the clothes that they wear not to be grown out of constantly on a weekly basis. Just stay. The clothes grow with the kids.
Okay.
That would be
That'd
the
be
one.
nice.
You don't want to keep them
that would be
small,
handy.
you just want the clothes to
the
grow
kids
with them.
Yeah.
Growing
yeah,
clothes.
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's a very money-saving thought, is it?
It's not even money saving, it's just faff saving.
They kind of grow up. They wake up in the morning and it's like,
Yeah.
you changed overnight. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have any funny or humorous stories to tell us about your family? I am sure you do have some.
Do you want to tell the
Knowing
Ollie
you well,
one
so
or the
tell
Annabelle?
us something really embarrassing about your family.
There's a couple we decided not to share, but definitely in the same sort of vein, Ollie, ever the teenager. So we had an extension to our house, 21, June, July 21 sort of time. And obviously as part of that, it was a kitchen, so they were doing works on the plumbing. And our builders occasionally would say, next couple of hours, don't flush the toilet. You can go toilet, just don't flush the toilet. Oliver, in his infinite wisdom, did not listen to that particular piece of advice and coated the builders in
Stuff.
Absolute
Yeah.
stuff.
Bless them.
And how were they about that?
They just sort of maybe said a few swear words and were like, "We told you not to flush the toilet."
But they took it generally.
No, I think it only landed on one of the 3 of them.
Yeah.
He went home, got changed, and came back, to be fair.
dear.
And then it was just a joke. I think we got lucky with our builders. They were really good builders. So
Yeah.
They came back.
they did
Yeah.
come back.
That-
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
good.
They did come
Mainly
back.
because 2 of them came back because they were taking the mick out of their third mate.
Well, of
That
course.
was-
You
But
would.
then, Belle. I mean,
Oh, so Annabelle, yes, we went to France last year, and we went to this like high ropes kind of place, and they had like a zip wire across a lake. You went over, didn't you? Over the zip
no,
wire.
so Ollie went first.
Oh, Ollie went first.
And then Annabelle was in the middle.
And then Annabelle went. She managed to go all the way over, but then it came back on her. So then she ended up coming back into the middle of the
She had to
zip wire,
grab
didn't
onto
she?
something on the other side.
Yeah.
Or to stop you going
Yeah,
back.
to stop you going
Yeah,
back. But
and
she sort of
she
grabbed
missed
it and
it.
then sort of went.
So she was left dangling over this lake on the zip wire, which she was traumatized about.
I bet.
I was stood there kind of like,
So you were
having a
off to
little
the side,
giggle.
weren't you? I was
Yeah.
waiting to go. Ollie had done it.
Yeah.
And the sort of the people that ran the place. it was really well done.
Did they have to get a boat into the lake?
No,
or?
so they
No.
monkey climbed along the
Did they?
wire.
Yeah, to get her and then pull her back.
And pull
yeah.
her back, yeah.
Bless her.
Good.
Poor love.
That was a bit scary for her, but
But you were laughing.
Boris,
then-
Boris Johnson.
but afterwards we
embarrassing,
saw
wasn't
the
it,
funny side.
Yeah.
We were like,
100%. She went back
Yeah.
on it as well. She went back.
Well,
back
that's
on
good.
It. Yeah,
She did go back on it,
She
yeah.
did go back on it. Yeah.
Credit to her for that.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Guts, that
exactly.
girl. She's got guts.
So rewind a little bit. So tell us what it was like growing up. What was home like? What sort of links did you have with church?
Yeah, so my home life was, I had quite an unstable home life. As for me, I had to grow up from an early age. There was a lot of pressure and it was erratic at times with just how the family was. My gran would step in a lot to help, like with me and my sister, because my mum and dad had their struggles. From the age of 14, my sister was 8, we were taken out of my mum and dad's care and placed with my gran. So it was all a bit, that was a bit of a scary
challenging.
time, more challenging time.
Yeah.
The pair of us didn't really have fantastic childhoods. Mine was I lost my mum and dad split when I was very young, and then my mum passed away when I was 6.
Wow.
I then had sort of 18 months to 2 years of court cases, custody battles, things like that, and then it all settled down when I was about 9.
Did you understand what was going
Absolutely
on?
not. So interestingly, we, as part of that renovation, I found the box full of court documents
Oh, wow.
and read them again as like a 30-odd-year-old.
And understood them for the first time, maybe.
Yeah, much more understood it. It was that was interesting, and there's a lot of them.
Wow.
But yeah, from the age of 9 till 17, 18, till I moved out, I lived with my great aunt and great uncle, and it was quote unquote normal. It was very, at that point it had settled right down,
Good.
which was good. But yeah, up till 9 was fun.
Yeah.
An
Say the
experience.
least.
An experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how did you guys first meet? Tell us a bit about when you first came together and maybe your first date, if there is a story there, I don't know.
So we met at Air Cadets. I was
Nice.
only there for like a temporary thing. It was like a bit of fun. Like went with a friend, didn't think much of it. Ended up going on a camp, Air Cadet camp, where I met Andy in a wood on a camping trip.
John Lee's Wood.
John Lee's wood. And you'd been in the Air Cadets quite a while, hadn't you? Like quite a few years, but I'd only been in it, several months. But yeah, we met on a camp.
Nice.
You've got to tell us the thing about Snow White. Or you trying
Go
to
on.
leave that bit
So
out? This does look good.
so they
This does look good.
it was the Air Cadet camps are very, there's how many was there? It was probably like 30 or so, 30 to 40, maybe tops 45 kids from 2 different Air Cadet groups joined in one place, and I sort of, it's all around the team building and everything else, and so part of that was we had to put on a performance between the 2 groups, and the performance was, with hindsight, I think picked directly for us.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think they've not forced us, but they very much sort of like said, "This will be funny. Let's see if they do this."
Oh, so they were doing it to put you in it, not
Yeah.
to bring you together in a nice romantic way.
No.
Oh,
so
okay.
So they made us reenact a version of Snow White, and Joe was Snow White, and I was playing Prince Charming.
Oh,
and,
of course.
And
Fairy tale began.
yes, literally that.
So how close did you get on the? Did you?
I think did I kiss you on the cheek?
I think you did,
I think
yeah.
I did.
I think
Oh,
I
nice
think
start.
I bit the apple, fell on the floor, and then you came on your little horse
I did.
and came down
It's
to the
very
floor to
similar
kiss me
to
on the
that,
cheek.
actually.
And then it was the following day. I took out. You told me to take your phone out your pocket.
Yeah, so I was carrying like a huge thing back from
It
part of the
was a big
campsite.
net, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, so,
Showing how strong he was.
yeah, that's exactly that.
Exactly.
And so yeah, we wanted to swap numbers, but I couldn't get my phone out, and so you got my phone
I
out.
got your phone out. Yeah.
Put your phone number in it.
Yeah.
And that was
Nice.
And then I thought, oh, he's
I
not going to
ignored
bother
you.
contacting
Didn't I
me.
ignore you for 2 days as well?
You
after
did.
that? I did, yes.
And then he finally texted.
Yeah,
Hard
don't
to
rush
get.
too hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we met up in Leicester at the Haymarket
Yeah,
Theatre, I think.
the Haymarket Shopping Centre, yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a cafe, didn't
Cafe, yeah.
Nice.
we? And kind of spoke about our lives and
Had a very similar conversation to the one we just had, just
Yeah.
slightly longer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's where it all began.
That's where it all began. And
Fantastic.
you were at college at the time, weren't you? And I was at school. Although, when we managed to meet, Andy would have you'd have like frees at college, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And I would not be at school. I'd Skype school to meet Andy.
You're right.
So
Go to
yeah,
Sky School.
and that's
I was
how
gonna
we would
say.
meet up. That was the only way we could meet up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And where were you guys at with church at this point?
We weren't.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I was living still with my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And you were living with your aunt and uncle, weren't you? In
Yeah.
Benmolly's.
The only time I'd gone to a church was in the Air Cadets on Remembrance Day, where we do a Remembrance Day parade, and that was my only experience of church, apart from one visit to a Pentecostal church when I was about 14, 15, and it was very loud, and it was and they had a full-on meal afterwards,
Nice.
curry and rice. It was. Yeah, it was very nice.
Food is the
I
way in,
can't,
isn't it,
I
really?
can't, I'm not, I can still remember it. 15,
must have
16,
been a good
17
meal.
years on. So yeah, it was good.
Excellent.
good.
Excellent. And then at some point you found out you were pregnant. How?
Yeah.
Talk us through that. What went through your mind? How did you feel?
Yeah, so I was living with my gran at the time, and I'd not long been with my gran. And Andy would come round and meet up with me there.
Yeah.
And that's when I found out in the January that I was expecting, which my mentor at school was amazing.
Yeah.
And she was with me the whole time. It was a shock.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like, what about like all the unknowns and everything? Telling the family.
Did you tell them first? Did you tell the mentor first?
Yeah, well, she was the first one to find out, and then
She was
so
with you, wasn't she?
yeah,
She
and
was
she
with
was
you.
like, how do you want to tell Andy? So then she offered to ring him, and you were sat at McDonald's, weren't you?
I was Sam McDonald's, yeah.
So this mentor
Yeah.
as well. How important was that mentor in your life at that point?
Really, yeah. I mean, in my when I was at high school, I'd go to her all the time to tell her about my problems, and she was so supportive. And then, yeah, she even with this, she was just like hands-on, wanting to help. So
To even going into the future, she helped you as well, didn't she?
yeah,
You kept in touch with her.
She
She
came
came to our wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Fantastic. It was such an important relationship.
yeah,
Yeah, really cool.
yeah, definitely.
How did you feel, Andy, when she told you the news? How did that
I was, like I said, I was sat in McDonald's.
Yeah.
But I was shocked, and then I think my brain went through some very like quick, not what ifs, but like what happens now, sort of trying to piece things together. But then I genuinely remember, and it sounds very corny and Snow White-esque, but I do remember. I remember walking out of the McDonald's into the Shires in the middle of Leicester town, and I do genuinely remember feeling really excited. Like I can't.
Yeah.
I was. What was I? 16, 17? I can't remember.
No, you were 17.
Yeah. So, and it, yeah. I think I knew whatever was going to happen was going to be difficult, but I do definitely remember still feeling quite excited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're going to be a dad. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, really exciting.
yeah.
Yeah. And so did you have much help? Obviously, you mentioned your mentor and you chatted about other people there at school, perhaps, but did you have other help around that time?
So around that time, it was, so my uncle, Simon, he supported everything that we decided to do, and he was supportive in it, and that's how I came along to Living Rock, was through him. yeah, my gran struggled to cope, because obviously I was living with her, with my sister as well at the time, and she was just really stressed about the whole thing. She was like, this can't be happening, basically, and we kind of fell out. So she didn't really want me to be around her at the time. She was really struggling with it, so understandably, because I was so young, and she was probably scared as well. Like looking back, I understand her worries and everything. So yeah.
How about you, Andy? Did you have anyone around you? I guess because
no. So I lived.
Local, were you?
I lived. So I was in my first year of an apprenticeship at that point, and I lived in Portsmouth. So I went back to Portsmouth.
So you've been together for a couple of years?
So we've been together for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We've been together for a year.
Yeah.
I got a job I got my apprenticeship job in the summer previously, so 6 months prior. Then was obviously January. I was there, home at Christmas, and then I went back to Portsmouth. And then living with in like dormitory situation with 200 other people.
Wow.
wasn't conducive to support necessarily.
No. Yeah.
All my age, all 17, 18.
Yeah.
Feeling alone in a crowd kind of thing.
Yeah. There was eventually everyone knew and found out, and I can't remember any particular difficulties. But there wasn't support so much. Apart from no, there wasn't really anything. We talk on the phone every day, but that was about it, wasn't it? That was just us supporting each other more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think your aunt was actually supportive
Of you?
Well, yeah, and you.
But like from afar, that's what I mean. Like it was all very sort of.
So wasn't anyone on hand?
No,
right, have a long chat with and kind of talk things through.
So at this point, then a change happens. In walks. Well, to explain how Harry and Phyllis come along. Then what? How does that happen, and what impact?
Yeah.
Does that
make? I think what I understand happened, because obviously I wasn't part of the church at the time, was that obviously my gran was really struggling, and my uncle stepped in and was like, right, I'm going to ask around and see if anybody at the church can help in this situation and maybe look after Joe for a few months. And Harry and Phyllis were the ones that stepped in.
Wow.
And I was obviously like, who are these people? I was like...
You'd never met them before?
Never met them before, and I was obviously scared at the time because everything was changing. I was pregnant and all the unknowns. But actually, my first meeting with them, they were just so... Instantly, we got on, and they were just so loving, so welcoming. They brought me back to the house. They showed me where my room would be. They picked me out bed sheets, bedclothes. They just spent all their time wanting to help me, and actually it felt really, really amazing to feel that love and support, because I didn't feel it at the time. I felt like people around me sort of were struggling, and Harry and Phyllis were like, we want to take you in, and that's where I grew my baby. And they helped me with that, you know. Phyllis would help me with chores. Like, she'd help me like just grow in knowing how to be a mum and a young wife and everything. So she was just amazing. Yeah, they were both incredible, and Harry was just the fun one. I can imagine. As you know, singing every morning.
Weird, you didn't say that was fun at the time.
Depends how early. How early was the singing in the morning?
Early. That wasn't always great, but I remember,
you look back, memories change, don't you? They're very fond. It's interesting.
I remember car journeys. We used to just sing together. We used to put a little tape in and used to sing loads of like hymns together, and it used to just be really nice. I remember
chatting to Phyllis at that time, and she was buzzing on it, wasn't she? She was always like, she just loved giving her love to somebody who she could make a difference to, and I think it was a two-way love relationship, wasn't it? She became your mentor, your mother, your
Yeah,
carer.
so they both would call me their my spiritual parents.
Yeah.
So they'd say, you know, you're our spiritual daughter.
That's lovely.
So I just felt so loved there. Yeah, the most loved I've ever felt, like, you know, from people strangers,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, wow.
really. So.
And were there any other ways that the church came alongside you at that time? Because obviously you had Harry and Phyllis, and how did that fit with the bigger picture of the church?
Yeah, we had some we met some people our age, and people just wanted to be our friends. Like, we didn't feel judged or anything. Like, people just wanted to come alongside us and like be our friends and support us. And yeah, it was just a kind of like found it like a safe place.
Great.
And
They helped out, like, skipping ahead a touch, but they helped out like practically as well. Like, so when Ollie was born, and then we started, we lived in a flat, and it was like things like help with the flat, help with the furniture, help with the moving,
Yeah.
help with this, help
we
with
had
that.
meals
It's
delivered.
very like practical but real support,
Yeah.
which I sometimes feel is like looked down on sometimes, physical support, because I don't know, I just feel like sometimes it is, but especially when you're that young, it's actually really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Like,
practically.
we didn't have
and
anything.
Yeah, we didn't.
Yeah.
And to have that network of people, that network of loving people.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
so special when
Money
you
can't
have
buy
a
that, can it?
network.
When there's a community there that just want to
Yeah.
help you.
Wonderful.
And with our wedding as well, everybody pulled together. There was people helping with the food, there was people helping with the decorating, there was people helping just serve in loads of different ways just to make our day happen. And it was just,
You're part of a family, weren't you? You're,
yeah,
like, brought
and we
into a
felt
family.
that, you know, we
Yeah.
really did. And that was really special, wasn't it?
Yeah. That sounds wonderful.
So tell us about when you both became Christians then, and what difference that made, because obviously this is along this journey at some point.
Yeah.
So is this before you got married?
I think I was with Harry and Phyllis, potentially staying with them, and I was brought to an evening here with Arne Skargen, and he spoke to him a bit about what, you know, and explained my situation, and he said, well, do you want to say the prayer? And that's basically how I came into it. Said the prayer, and then I remember I was baptised as well at the old Hinckley Leisure Centre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, in the swimming pool.
In the swimming pool. Yeah, I think Ollie was a baby at the time.
So Arne Skargen kind of was the person that did, right, do you want to pray the prayer?
Basically,
who do you think put the work in, kind of thing? Because it's like one man reaps, another man sows. You know, who would you say it was Harry and Phyllis and the friends and all that kind of thing that helped you to understand, or was it?
I think it was like all the love and care that I'd felt, that I thought, wow, you know, it was like a huge thing. And obviously knowing about church,
So you had your background
of it.
Yeah.
I just felt at the time it was the right thing to do, and yeah, it just made things secure for me, I guess, at the time.
Yeah.
I'd come to this church with you. I cannot remember the first time, but it would have been at some point when you lived with Harry and Phyllis, and I'd come back for one of my long weekends.
So because you were still working away.
Yeah, because I was still working away. So I'd come back on like the Thursday night, and then I'd go back on the Monday night. So, and while I was one of those a month, and then while I did that, Harry and Phyllis would have taken me with Joe, and then I came a couple of times, and then obviously fast forward a bit, when we'd moved out, and we had Ollie, and we were in the middle of Leicester. We get lifts to church. Because I couldn't drive, Joe couldn't drive, and we didn't have a car, and we had absolutely no way to afford a car. But then conversations with lots of people at the time, asking I can vividly remember asking people like Richard Jones some sticky questions.
Good. Yeah.
And then I think I was with Benj, Lion, and then we were at the back of the church with another couple of people, and that's when I became a Christian. And then a couple of weeks later, I was baptised in a very cold Sutton of the Elms baptism. I didn't get a nice warm swimming pool.
But it was a significant moment, so it's fine.
It was.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously you shared a bit about, when you found out you were pregnant together, and what fears and concerns did you have at that point? Because that's quite a big deal when you're a teenager. You're still growing yourself, and suddenly you've got a responsibility. Tell us a bit more about the challenges that you faced at that time.
I think it was about like where we were going to be living, financial. I think parent-wise, we felt like we'd get the support, and actually we felt, over the time that I was pregnant, I felt like I was ready now to be a mum, and it was more exciting for me.
Wonderful.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
and I was like, I'm so ready for this,
Yeah.
and it's that this is my start in life.
Yes.
After so many years of not the unknowns and not knowing things, I think this was my time to shine and become a mum.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's so good that you saw it in that positive way, because
Yeah.
so many people have different fears about things, don't they? And
Yeah.
that was wonderful that you can.
I think looking back, I always felt older than I was. So because of what I'd been through,
Yes. You grew up quick, didn't you?
Yeah, I just had to in my mind go, this is it now, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
To embrace the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the way forward. Yeah.
Anything to add there, Andy? Or?
We had the same concerns. It was how do you, as a second year apprentice, I was on like £11,000 a year.
Okay.
How do you
How does it
make
add up?
that
How does
work?
it work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
how does the maths work on that point? I think some things became very easy because if it wasn't free, we didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a
couldn't do
very
it, yeah.
low. Like there wasn't really any sort of we took the things like Healthy Start vouchers.
Yeah.
Can you remember those for like
Yeah.
fruit and veg and
Yeah.
things like that? Like and we took it and we went. You know what? Yeah, okay, fine. I will take that.
you got
handout
working
and we
tax
will-
credits as well.
Yeah, we got lots of different things.
Lots of different things to help.
to help.
Yeah.
But mainly it was we couldn't have done. So the first two places we lived were directly through family members. So direct help with the first one where somebody paid all of the rent for us,
Wow.
and then I paid them instead of paying
Yeah.
the letting
Yes.
agency.
Oh, so because financial arrangement.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
letting agent wouldn't let us pay.
No.
Yes.
But they would take the upfront payment from
Yeah.
somebody else,
Yes,
and I would pay
you
that
pay them.
person back.
Yeah.
And then the
Wonderful.
second one was like your
So
your family.
it was in my dad's side. My granddad rang me one day and he was like, we have something in the family, like a trust, where if you're struggling, if you can't find a home, then this trust will help you.
Wow.
And it was like, oh, what's this then? And he said it was called something like a consanguinitarium.
That sounds such a great way. You say it
Wow.
again.
Yeah, consanguinitarium.
I read that about that word. I couldn't even say that word.
Yeah.
That's good that you can say that.
And it was a little masonette in Glenparva, one bed, and it was perfect for us. What we needed for a couple of years to tie us over. The rent was like
Oh, so that was the thing.
Cheap.
So it took us out of the flat in the middle of Leicester.
It
It
did.
was a house.
to a house
Yeah,
in
wow.
Glenparva. Yeah,
Amazing.
It came from
Just three of you at this point? Or four?
yeah, three of us.
just the
So
three of us. Yeah.
It came from sort of like the Victorian times, so the workhouse.
Okay.
It was for Joe's family. Wouldn't go into a workhouse; they would go and
Wow.
stay at this place if they needed a house.
Is that
So it
It's
wasn't.
that old.
So
Oh
it's
yeah,
like a
hundreds
safe
of years
house.
old. Almost,
Of
yeah.
which I love the
Yeah.
parallel of what that
Yeah.
meant then for you. Those
Yeah.
days.
And because it was so anyone could stay there, it was a normal house.
Yeah.
But you had to
But
sort of qualify
when someone from Joe's family needed it, it was written in the letting contract that actually if this bloodline arrives, we'll have to serve you notice, we're really sorry. And then
That's incredible.
so we got
Yeah.
to stay there
And it was only
after a
one
period
bed.
of time.
Yeah.
And also the rent was like halved.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was because again
Oh. 'Cause it was provision.
the person from a long time ago.
I mean, and it did us for, we were there for about 2.5 years until we realised Ollie can't stay in our room any
Yeah.
longer. We need to move.
But what a great... I just love that God provided something, I've never heard of that before.
I know.
And you think, I've never,
Exactly.
that's so unique. And you just think how God enabled, he saw you, he loved you, he's brought you through a love story almost. Really. It's like how he's loved you and brought you in, and then he's provided for you practically in so many ways.
Yeah.
He's given you a home that I've never heard of anyone providing that way. And so God's just like manoeuvred things.
And another
look
bonus,
after
we were
you.
around the corner from the Favels.
Perfect. So how
And
fantastic.
Rosanna would step in and be an amazing babysitter, and
that.
it was just
Yeah.
it was perfect for us at the
Real
time,
provision.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got things like youth groups or toddler groups. Can you anything about that being part of youth?
Because that must have been quite
Was
a
it-
challenge for you,
Yeah.
Joe. You're a
Yeah.
young mum, and
How
I
was
know,
that?
having been to toddler groups, a lot of them are
Yeah,
older
so I would,
mums, aren't they?
and at times it was scary. Obviously, it was a scary time. But there was a time when I did lie about my age because I was so
The youth group or the toddler group?
toddler
The
group.
toddler group. Youth group. Youth group's a whole different sort
Yeah.
of like, isn't it?
I did, yeah, and I think she asked how old I was, and I think at the time I must have been about 17, 18, and I told her I was 20.
Oh, okay.
To which then I think she found out at one point, and it was like, she said, "Oh, you don't have to lie, you don't have to, I wouldn't have judged you either way," kind of thing. But I think at the time I just felt so like, "You're going to be my friend if I'm young," and
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But I suppose, yeah, they'll form a view of you without that in the back of their mind. I suppose.
100%.
Yeah.
Is that what you thought? And thought,
Yeah.
do you know what? I can't. Yeah.
Exactly, I didn't want people to view me as like
Just another statistic.
just another statistic.
Yeah.
I wanted to be looked at as, I am a good mum to my child,
Yeah.
and I am trying to do the best,
Yeah.
even though I'm young. You
Yeah.
know, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then you came to Mum Stop, didn't you?
Did.
I did.
Which
so
Lisa
I
started
met
years ago.
I
with
met
our
Lisa
babies,
at
yeah.
the end of your Mum Stop when
Yeah.
Phyllis would help do the teas.
Yeah.
And she'd bring me along.
So that's
Sure.
about
You have-
18, 19 years ago.
Well,
isn't it?
Joe's 20, and we started when he was a baby. So
I
it would have been
remember
around-
it was Annie.
It was
So-
Annie. So later on, when
Yeah.
she was
I remember meeting
2007.
Annie and when she was a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
And,
There.
and did you go to the church youth group as well? How was that?
We did a few times, didn't we? We went to like the kind of. I
So
remember going
I
to like
vividly
socials and-
remember only going once.
Oh, okay.
Only because I wasn't there.
I
And
think
then
we
by the
were-
time when I came back,
Yeah.
You were
obviously I was
too
too
old.
old.
Got
To
you.
I think we
So I
went to a
once.
couple.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was Sam and Mary were our youth leaders, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
So they were amazing.
You went a
and-
couple of more times than I did. Well, a lot more
Towers.
times than I did.
Yeah.
The youth came alongside you a bit, didn't they? at
Yes.
that time?
Yeah. Had some really good friends, and
Yeah.
the support was good.
Great.
Yeah.
And you've alluded a little bit already about your finances. So how did you manage? You've said a little bit how you saved money. You were doing your vouchers. Were there any other elements to that side of things that?
So you can mention the car.
Yeah, so we got and we got a lot of help. Like
Great.
we had so like on the face of it, like I had a job and but I was an apprentice.
Yeah.
And it was tough. Like I said, it would if it wasn't free, we didn't do it. For the first couple of years, we got really good.
Being creative.
Yes, really good at the local park. 'Cause it was free.
Yeah.
But we also so one of the reasons why I stuck with where I was because I knew at the end of the apprenticeship I would get a quote unquote proper job.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And so, at that point things started to become easier. But, even on top of that, as I was learned to drive and pass my test,
That costs.
that costs. So again, and I was doing that sort of because I knew I probably would have to, but also because it was a way to get around and do other things and broaden our horizons with
Yeah.
the small person.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when it came to that time of okay, I've passed my test now, how do we start looking for a car? We were blessed with not only an entirely free car,
Wonderful.
Of which worked fine. It wasn't like a banger. It was we had it for 4 years before it finally gave up the ghost.
Yeah.
Obviously being 19 when I passed my test, so being 19, insurance was quite high.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it would be, wouldn't it?
But we were blessed with somebody paying our first year's insurance.
Wow.
So
That's
we got a
amazing.
free car and a 3 years insurance.
Love
Yeah.
And which then gave us, that little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Helped out a lot.
I guess you got
Stopped
to be a
people giving
family,
us
didn't
lift.
you, as well?
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to be independent, like you're saying.
Yeah. Exactly,
We stopped being on a lift rota.
Yeah, we literally were
Happy
on a
days.
lift rotor.
See, that's great, though, isn't it? For the time, but there is a point where you just want to go where
Be
you want to
free,
go without
yeah.
checking something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to walk to Foss Park like we did once from Glenparva.
Oh. I remember that.
That's a long way.
It's a long
Yeah.
way.
On the canal?
Uh,
It's main,
No,
No.
we went
Longer
sort
that
of,
way.
because we didn't know where we were going, so we just stuck to the main roads.
Oh, okay.
Left and left.
Yeah, but yeah, being able to get places, and obviously the network we had of people, apart from the Fables right around the corner, a lot of the people we knew were in, Leicestershire, the
Yeah,
villages,
local, yeah.
and so it was you couldn't necessarily get a train or
Yeah.
a bus to
Yeah.
wherever those people lived, and so we were very, very reliant on people picking us up, and
Yes.
being able to not be picked up felt like a
nice.
big moment as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
yeah.
And also, it let us, maybe not straight away, but it definitely let us, in future years, we realised the value of... I think one of the big things is we appreciated how much help we got. And so, even to now, we help others, more than... I say more than other people, but, we don't question it most of the time.
Make
We
a
just
point
sort
of
of go,
doing
we
it,
make
yeah.
a point of
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
we were helped for the
Someone's in
first
need,
X
yeah.
many, really strongly helped
Yes.
for the first X amount of Ollie's life.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so, giving back
Yeah.
doesn't really phase us, does it?
Because
I
you
think that's
know
I'm trying to say.
what value it is.
Yeah,
to someone.
exactly.
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
We-
It doesn't take much to help somebody,
Yeah.
does it?
Yeah.
And it's
And if you're in a position to help someone,
Yeah.
then
just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you can't
Yeah.
buy that, can they? No. So how have you grown in your faith through this experience? How has it helped you connect with God in different ways?
I'd say I think we've just grown together, haven't we? Through the years, through up and downs, we've just kind of felt like we've been guided through it, and just from support of others as well. Being able to lean on others, being able to help others, being able to just be in the moment, and
I think, almost following on from what I said, it's around noticing the support is great, but it's why the support is there.
Yeah.
And I think I think this is right. And you're going to tell me off if I get it wrong. One of the things that was said at our wedding, there was lots of things about, did you know the longest wedding anniversary was 80 years? And it goes back to oak. That was at our wedding. But
Yeah.
one of the other things was around 1 Corinthians 13 and the very, some would say, overused verse around faith, hope and love.
Yes.
But I think the second part, or the last part of that verse where it talks about, and the greatest of these is love, it's showing that love in a physical...
Yeah.
You can talk to people, help people, guide people, but I strongly believe actions speak louder than words
Yes.
sometimes. And going out of your way, being there for people, and that sort of...
yeah.
That's...
So living faith, and
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
That's
just
what I was
like
getting to. Yeah,
not just
yeah,
like
exactly.
words
I
and
think,
thoughts. It's
yeah,
actually
it's-
what does it look
it's-
like?
yeah,
It's
what does it look
doing
like?
it,
Very
it's-
practically,
It's
like...
being like living how Jesus would have lived. It's helping others. It's understanding what it
understanding
means to be, your struggles and stuff in life. It's
It's also understanding that you don't have the answers
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just going,
yeah,
I haven't got a clue, mate, but
Yeah.
absolutely come
Yeah.
round. I will come and help you do whatever, and
yeah,
we'll go from there, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
if that doesn't work, well, we'll probably try something else.
Yeah.
And it's keep coming back,
And
and
it proves
sort
that
of-
love that God talks about, doesn't it? It's kind of like, it's okay saying we love you, but actually the doing it helped bring you into the kingdom of God, really, because it was through the love of others that you then realised that there was somebody who loved you more than all these people did. It was the root behind everything that they did.
Yeah. And the whole sort of church community and other Christian parents, people, what advice would you give to sort of other parents that are listening to this podcast and about how to offer practical or spiritual support? Is that, can you add anything else to that about, within the sort of church community or outside the community or whatever?
I would say, if you feel that there's someone in need out there, or if you, if someone's struggling, I think it's, like Harry and Phyllis did for me, open your home, invite someone for dinner, just show others the love, and we were that, don't judge anybody, just give them your time, and
I think it's important to sort of say or notice that every first-time parent has exactly the same amount of experience as every other first-time parent.
Yes.
Like, it
really
doesn't
good
matter
point.
if you're 16, 17, I can't remember how old you are.
21.
Or if you're, 40.
Yeah.
And you can make an argument around, Joe and I have got an unfortunate amount of life experience when we were 16, but still, like, we have exactly the same amount of parental experience as anybody, any other first parent.
So
and
true.
not judging, like you said, not judging other people. Like, the one thing I would say to give advice to other people is just take someone as they are. Don't preconceive them and say, taking a silly example, that person's left-handed, they can't be a good parent. Like, you can't, like, don't make those sort of, just go, the baby is happy, cool, marvelous, we'll move on. Like, let's invite them around for dinner. If they can't get there, let's go and pick them up. Like, or whatever it takes in that case.
Just going out of your way for people who might be struggling, whether that's other families or anybody that
that's
you
good.
see.
Well, we're going to about wrap it up. Time flies when we're doing these. And I can't believe we've already reached the end. But if you were going to summarise like 3 or 4 key bits that you would want to share to other young parents. So if you're a young parent, what would you say to a young parent who particularly would find themselves in a similar situation? What would you suggest to them?
I would say don't feel like this is the end. It's the start of your best adventure. I'd say it's a scary, daunting time, being a young parent. It can be, but you can swap it and actually it can be exciting, it can be fun, it can be an adventure, and it could be a start of an amazing experience.
I guess there's almost coupling 2 in 1 around it's easy to say, but with hindsight, don't be afraid to ask for help. Yes, you are going to need help. All parents need help, and potentially as a young parent you might need some more because you don't have that sort of, like we did. We didn't have a sofa, we didn't have things like that, like you might need a bit more, but don't be afraid to ask for that help.
I think that's a general skill in life, isn't it? People sort of sometimes expect other people to be mind readers, or they give a little clue, and then but it is, isn't it? It's a lot of people are, we're not the best at picking up on the little signals. So just tell us.
Just
ask. Charlie Maxey does it, doesn't he? One of his pictures, but one of the bravest words is help. And sometimes it can feel like I need to be strong, I need to be brave, I can do this, but actually it takes guts to ask for help, but to not be afraid to ask.
Call Jo, she'll help you.
Yeah, she would as well.
Call me up.
Jo's there for all of us.
The last one.
Yeah, so don't.
Go on, you do it.
Yeah, don't shy away from a church either. Like, so obviously, some people will feel that the church is the last place they want to go when if they're in a situation like that. But actually, people are there to help, and they want to help, and they and I think it's important that people know that. Because it to me, I was pregnant at 16. Like, I would have thought that the church would have turned me away. Like, actually, instead of that, through my uncle, they actually wanted to show their support.
Yes,
Yeah.
So actually, yeah,
Yeah. It's a place to be loved.
place to be loved. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I just want to say thank you for just sharing your story with us. I just feel so
Yeah.
privileged that we can just
Oh.
listen and learn
Yeah.
as well, and just we can all, it's just wonderful that you can share that, and we can all.
Thanks
get
for
a
your
bit
honesty
wiser.
and your vulnerability with that as well. No, really
Yeah.
appreciate it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think none of us parents have got it. And we've all got our own different stories to share. And I think that's one thing we wanted to do on this show, was to talk about real honest stories. And I really
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing what your journey looked like.
Oh.
We're very different to probably other people, but
Yeah.
But it's your story and
our
it
story,
matters,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're here to help
It's just
others.
nice to be able to share it and
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's also just God loves everybody individually equally. There's no preference. He doesn't put people above. Everybody is the same.
Yeah.
And we all have and if we engage with that, we will have a tale to tell about the love of God and how that is expressed through family and church.
That's
And
right.
it's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's nice that we've all got different stories to tell, and ours is a little different, but it's still an amazing
important.
story to share. And I think more stories like this
Yeah.
should be shared.
Yes.
You know,
thank you.
it
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
shared.
No, it's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Share your stories.
Good.
That's it.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining us today. Remember, please, to like and share this video on YouTube and your podcast provider and wherever you enjoy this podcast. That would be great, and that helps other people find this podcast. Would also love to hear any questions, ideas for topics. We're always trying in different ways, and people make suggestions. So please do contact us if you've got a thing like that. And there's also come to the Living Rock Church, meet the parents page. There's information on there as well.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jo and Andy.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate
And
your time.
we'll see everybody for another time at some point in the future. Thank you very much.